All right, great. Well, welcome, welcome to Leave Me Alone. All right, well, thank you for being here with us tonight. I'm Sarah Nesbitt. I'll be the lead instructor tonight, but I would also like to introduce my coworker, Kendra. She is going to help us with questions and answers. As I go through the PowerPoint presentation, I am going to have Kendra, if you want to ask a question throughout the class, just put it in the chat feature at the bottom and Kendra will hand that off to me. So I'm just going to stop my video. Okay. All right. Well, thanks again for being with us tonight. I'm going to be throwing a lot at you guys tonight, but I'm still going to try to keep this to about 45, 50 minutes so we can still have some time to tackle questions at the end if you can think of anything else. But with that being said, let's just get rolling. I'll get my share screen going here. Okay. Come on. All right, so what we're going to do today is learn how to curtail robocalls, enable all of your privacy settings, and I'll get into more detail on where those settings lie within an app. Gain an understanding of why privacy settings are important, what's being done about digital hovering. I'm not sure if everyone kind of feels the same way that pretty much the rest of the country does. You're walking around on your phone and it seems like your phone recognizes where you are. It's asking you to, leave a Yelp review, leave a Google review. That's what I consider digital hovering. Why a junk email account is actually pretty beneficial, and why you should change your passwords frequently. All right, let's just go through kind of a little reminder on why privacy matters. It's a limit on power. It makes sure you have the majority of the power. It's also respect for individuals. It's your reputation management. It is a good way to maintain boundaries, healthy boundaries, trust, control over your life, freedom of thought and speech, freedom of social and political activities, and also the ability to change mind and have and give second chances, and not having to explain or justify yourself. So all right. This term, personal identification information, also called PII. This is the most important information you should really put under heavy duty lock and key. Those are social security numbers, your driver's license number, passwords, passcodes, your driver's license, your passport. If any of you use biometric data, you might want to go in on privacy settings featuring your biometric data. I'm going to get into that a little bit later. And then also your employee number, your student number, or even military numbers, and financial transaction devices and account numbers. Those should all be what you really look out for. And if some people feel the same way, your library reading account. We agree. But let's start off with the dreaded robocall. So it's a phone call from an automated source, and that is what you have to sort of remember here, that delivers a pre-recorded message, or sometimes it is an actual person too. This is going out to an incredibly large number of people. And I'm gonna try to do my best to explain a little bit about how that happens. Number one, the first tip I'm gonna tell you, when you have an incoming phone call and it's either number one, an unknown number, or if it's a Colorado number that your phone doesn't recognize, let it go to voicemail. I know it's kind of annoying to be like, well, someone that's not in my phone could be calling me. I hear you there. I completely agree. But 9 times out of 10, when I let those numbers go to voicemail, they won't leave a message. That's how I know how to block them. That's how I know that is an automated call. I'm going to get into a little bit more, but wait until someone leaves an actual voicemail or sends you a text as well. That is the huge indicator that it's actually a person trying to get a hold of you. It's actually illegal for these automated callers to leave you a voicemail. And the one thing that's actually really good about that is if you get an unknown call, you don't get a voicemail, immediately block that number. And I'll be getting into blocking a little bit later too. But don't trust your caller ID. What they use is the computer to start recognizing numbers, and they make the computer call. And I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on how to not answer if you pick up on one. I'll get into that in a little bit, but this just wanted to call a little bit or get into a little bit. They decide what to display on your caller ID, and it's going to look like a local call. When they start calling, they can make millions of phone calls over the internet lines in minutes, literally minutes. Yes, it's a drag. All right, so what can you at least do? You're never going to fully, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, you're never going to completely whittle them out of your life, completely get spammers and auto calls out of your life. But putting your phone on the Colorado no-call list and the federal no-call list, this will ensure that that number is going to go down exponentially. Because if someone picks off your number off a do not call list, they can actually get fined pretty heftily on that. But this is the best way to start curtailing that number of calls, because the both of these features really does help. And just one other thing, you guys, tomorrow morning I'm going to be emailing all of the participants the PowerPoint presentation, so you don't have to take rapid fire notes today. You're going to get a copy of this presentation tomorrow morning. All right, so no call lists is the big one. All right, how to stop unwanted calls on a mobile phone. These are the instructions I'm just going to leave for you on. Also, one of the other questions when I first started doing this class is how to stop unwanted calls on a landline. They're a little bit different. So I'm going to include the instructions as well for you on there, as for you to take a look at if you have a landline and you want to apply this to your landline in addition to your cell phone.
I have a
All
question
right.
for you, Sarah.
Yep, go.
So one participant asked, do you have to renew the do not call order? Do you have to put it in? Okay.
You do not.
Thank you.
Great question. All right, so let's talk about how to handle those incoming calls that say, some might say spam risk, some might say unknown, some will give a local number. This is how to handle those, some tips on how to handle those incoming calls. If you answer the phone and the caller or a recording asks you to hit a button to stop getting calls, hang up immediately, because they're sort of testing the waters to see if they can actually get someone to answer the phone. And then once they get like an actual person who will answer the phone, they'll step it up. Yeah. Don't they have anything else to do? Robocalls that hang up immediately are usually meant to verify your number as well. Again, try to get into the habit of simply not answering. Also, if you do get an automated caller and do not respond to any questions, especially any yes questions, anything that can be answered with the word yes. Also be wary of if you ever hear a robocaller say, "Can you hear me?" you're automatically going to say yes, that's what they want you to do. And again, if you get an unknown phone number, ignore it and wait for a voicemail or a text from an actual person who is trying to get a hold of you and communicate with you. All right, get familiar with your block feature. There's a strange, empowering sensation to this. No matter if you have an Android phone or an iPhone, get familiar with your specific phone's block feature, because before I got on the no call lists, I was blocking 10 numbers a day, minimum 10 numbers a day. I now only block about 2 or 3. And I've been on the no call list for a year and a half now. So the no call lists do help. But if you're not familiar with your phone's block feature, that is something to get to know. If you're ever curious about your specific device's block feature, try to look up a YouTube video on your specific phone and the block feature. You can find tons of great tutorials on YouTube, and this is only the first of second times I'm going to recommend an additional YouTube tutorial to what we are learning about tonight. All right. Also, in terms of privacy filters, try to communicate with your service provider to see if there are any apps specific to your phone or to your special features through your carrier on how to whittle down those numbers even more. Also, you might want to look into some blocking apps that are specific to your carrier or specific to your phone. So this is going to require a little bit of investigation on your part, depending on your carrier, depending on what type of mobile phone that you have. But here are some really good blocking apps that you can actually add as another layer to your phone. Truecaller is very good. Robo is outstanding, given the research that I put in behind it. Calls Blacklist is another good one, and so is RoboKiller, and Haya got incredibly good ratings too. So if you feel like if you're not on the no-call lists, the federal and state no-call lists, after a month of maybe signing up for that, if you're still getting like a really obscene amount of robocalls, try looking at some of these blocking apps.
All right, another question for you, Sarah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So someone has asked, can anything be done if the block caller feature isn't available for a particular call?
Can you say that again?
Can anything be done if the block caller isn't available for a particular call?
Isn't available for a particular call?
Yes, I'm thinking maybe they mean if they can't choose to block the call for a particular call. It should allow you for any, right?
It's going to allow you for any. You can block any number. There's not a block on your block at all. And there's not a limit either. You should be able to block absolutely any call. All right, so what can the government do? The government is still hashing the Traced Act out, but as of tonight, or as we speak right now, the FCC can levy a 10,000 fine per call to those companies that are busted for ignoring telemarketing rules. Also, the FCC has expanded 4 years to enforce these rules. It used to be 2. Also, the Traced Act is a part of the Department of Justice, the FCC, the FTC, Department of Commerce, Department of State, Homeland Security, the Financial Protection Bureau. There's a lot of heft behind this. But of course, since it's the federal government, it's still a little bit of a hot mess. But anyway, keep an eye on what the government can do in terms of beefing up its already existing Traced Act. That's what it's called. All right. The other really good thing about this is it requires AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile. It requires those providers to adopt call authentication technologies. So you might actually have something on your phone that in your plan included with paying for your device that has that call authentication technology already on it. Again, be sure to ask your provider. All right, I wanted to include this next information. I don't know, I wish, I so miss having a regular classroom. I wanna say, raise your hand if you've noticed starting to get text spam. This is another problem that is popping up. Something that, yeah, Cindy raised your hand, yes. Um, an interesting feature that a lot of the carriers have now is you can forward your spam texts. Like you can, I'm thinking you might be able to just forward that actual message, or if not, take a screenshot and text it to 7726 spam to your phone carrier. They can look into where that came from. I think that's really, really, really interesting. This might vary per carrier. So this is another question for your carrier, but I love that there is a feature for this. All right, so again, this is another level of spam, but it's another level way for us to fight back. All right, I'd be remiss if I got into this class and not mention surveillance capitalism. I'm not sure if a lot of you are familiar with this term, but it's the reason that there is so much digital hovering and that there is so much, what are you doing all of the time? Make it data driven. It's because surveillance capitalism is the monetization of data that's captured through monitoring people's movements and behaviors online, even when they're about in the physical world. So that is what surveillance capitalism. I'm not sure if a lot of you are use social media a lot. We're going to be talking about your social media filters or privacy filters today as well. This social media is sort of the biggest culprit in terms of contributing to surveillance capitalism. But anyway, and I'm gonna, if any of you have Netflix, there is a documentary on there called The Social Dilemma, which is extremely eye-opening and a little scary, but extremely worth the watch. There is a sentence in there of one of the contributors that says, if you're downloading a free app or you think you're getting a free software, a free feature, a free service, you are very likely the data. You're not using that data, you are the data. So I want to bring you just really to the forefront of surveillance capitalism. This is why data is so huge these days, is that people are making money off it. So just an FYI, again, not here to scare you, but this is something that you should keep in mind when you are playing around with your privacy settings. All right, so you have privacy settings on your mobile phone depending on your operating system. With your Androids, it's going to be going through your account. If you've got an Apple, it's settings through privacy. Here is the second place. Tonight, I am going to recommend trying a tutorial on your device through YouTube. You're going to get much more specific information pertaining to your device. So just write down your model of phone, look it up on YouTube and just add privacy settings and it should take you straight through, because this is sort of where you should start in terms of your privacy settings. It should be on your physical phone first. Hope that makes sense. Okay, so your privacy filters once you have them assessed on your phone, they don't cover everything. Like it doesn't make sure that you have privacy settings on if you use e-commerce or if you use social networks or web browsers. All right, I know this is sort of an intimidating slide here, you guys, but I want you to visually be able to see. I'm just going to drag my mouse over to Amazon. This is one of the biggest ones that you're going to want to check your privacy settings on. So Amazon has its own settings of privacy settings. So you're going to have to go into your Amazon account and set your privacy settings for Amazon from there. Same with eBay. Also, if you, I noticed when I was sending out the emails for the Zoom link, lots of you have Gmail accounts. It's the same with Outlook. It's the same with Yahoo. You're going to have your own layer of privacy settings there as well. Also with photo and video sharing. And the biggest thing here in your social networks, if you have a Pinterest account, if you have a Facebook account, if you have a Twitter account, all of those places have their own levels of privacy settings. Now, I know looks like an overwhelming, really intimidating to-do list. If you're starting with privacy settings from scratch, what I would recommend is just tackle a couple of these a week. Give yourself a month and a half or so. Just give yourself some learning time. Don't think you have to tackle your privacy settings on absolutely everything that you're doing like immediately after this class. This is going to be more getting into a good habit. But these, and also privacy settings with your web browsers, also privacy settings with your music. There are different levels of privacy settings. So what you want to do is just give yourself like tackle one privacy app every other night during the week. That's the best advice I can give you because I know this is this is kind of intimidating, but I just want to give you guys sort of a framework on levels of privacy settings. I hope this helps.
Hey, Sarah, I have a
Yes.
question. This is kind of taking a step back to the spam text messages.
Yeah. Yeah.
You mentioned you can send them to your carrier. Do you do that with that 7726 number, or is
Mhm.
there another way?
With the 7726 number, I think that is at least specific to Apple products.
Okay,
At least, again, ask your carrier.
perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so let's head up, since a lot of people probably use Google on their phone or Chrome on their phone, the most important thing that you are going to want to do in terms of not getting hovered on is you want to turn off your location history. And you'll do that by going into, and I'm taking my mouse just around, like if you are on a Google Chrome uh, uh, tab with a tab open, go to the three dots, go to your settings right here, and you're going to want to turn off your location history. You're going to feel a lot less followed around. However, whenever you use Google Maps, you are going to have to turn it back on. But if you can get into the habit of turning off your location history and then turning it back on, you're going to feel a lot less watched over. And then this will also limit the data sharing with sites and services that Google shares with. And believe me, guys, they do. So this is basically where to get into your location history. So just remember, it's the three dots in the upper right-hand corner of the browser, down to settings, and your location history will be there. All right, so let's talk about another colossal behemoth that pretty much everyone and their dog uses these days. Make sure you really go into your Amazon account if you have one, and remove your public profile. Once you create an Amazon profile, you have to tell it to not be public. It will automatically be shared. Once you remove that public profile, things are going to loosen up and you're not going to get as much bombarded as much with other Amazon ads based on what you've searched for. Also, if you have Alexa in your home, there is a way to go in to listen and delete your Alexa recordings as well. There's also a way to make your shopping lists private. There are also ways to make Amazon stop from tracking what you browse. You can also set a pin on your Alexa purchases. So there is a lot you can do with Amazon privacy settings in terms of feeling not so pushed on when it comes to products. So Google and Amazon are the biggies. And now I'm just going to start to get into some random tips for you guys. If you have a social media account, something like Pinterest, or when you see Facebook or other places are asking you to log in with your password or with your email and your password, or continue with your social media or Google accounts, don't go in through social media. Go into and log into with the actual email and password that you used to set up that specific account. Because if you're signing in through social media, that's almost twice as much data that is going to get dragged in about you. So don't sign in with social media pretty much anywhere. It's not just Pinterest that'll ask you to do this. It's not just Facebook. It's not just Instagram. You're going to find lots of places. Hey, sign in with social media. Don't sign in with what you created the account with. All right, here are some 2 sneaky moves when you are maybe downloading some new apps. There are, when you kind of look at what you agree to and what you don't, they kind of like to get, some of these app providers like to get sneaky. And what they won't do is they'll leave this first box, I do not wish to be contacted, blank. So you have to check it. So make sure to check that box. Now, in turn, they will automatically check this second box. I wish to be contacted with product offers and services that may be of interest to me. Folks, that's going to be automatically checked. Automatically uncheck it. I hope this makes sense, but this has actually turned out to be a really, really useful tip. I've seen maybe a dozen instances of apps doing this. So be careful what boxes you're checking and what you're agreeing to.
We have
All right, biometrics. Let's talk about biometrics for a second. Some of you that might have your fingerprint attached to your phone, just given that is a great security feature on a phone to unlock it, to make sure someone can't just, walk off with your phone and start using it. Some people also might, one of my best friends has her iPhone wake her up with her face. This is also an example of biometrics. This is your call, but it's the process of identifying people based on their unique biological and unique physical features. In my humble opinion, this is a little bit overkill, and I don't see how Apple needs to see my face. Again, this is your call, though. I think the fingerprint is not so obnoxious as your face. And I'm sure you all have lovely faces. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is they don't need to have like a facial scan. Again, my humble opinion, but again, this is your call. All right, try some new search engines as well. There are a lot more privacy settings with DuckDuckGo and Mozilla Firefox. They don't track your IP address, your user information, or your browsing history. That's DuckDuckGo. They get, you may have never heard of these guys before, but they process 1.5 billion queries a day. You can also avoid Google-based products that are pushed with a Google search. Again, this is up to you. And your information isn't shared with advertisers. Also, the same thing with Firefox. There's also a huge suite of security features in Firefox that you might want to look into, but these are two really, really good stepped up search engines when it comes to browsing policy or privacy. Again, do whatever you want to do. I'm just sort of here tonight to give you some options. But look into something that might float your boat a little bit more than Chrome or Safari would. I'm not slamming Chrome or Safari, but if you're looking for a new browser in terms of better privacy settings, these are your go-tos. All right, I'm not sure if you guys have heard of a virtual private network. This is an added layer of encryption, and believe you guys, this is some of the most powerful encryption you can probably buy. Some of these are free, but some, like the best I found is ExpressVPN. This is it only adds about $3 to your bill per month. But what a virtual private network does is it gives you more online privacy and anonymity by creating your own little portal into the internet. They mask your IP address, so your online actions are pretty much untraceable. And this next slide, it's actually easier to show you than explain. So when you are on a device that has that additional layer of VPN, it puts your searches through a tunnel so no one else can touch them before popping it out onto the internet. I hope this makes sense, but the VPNs that I've researched, they're actually really reasonable if you really want that encrypted tunnel of your information or an extra, and believe me when I tell you, really beefy privacy settings through that additional VPN. I just think this is, if you're looking for an extra layer of privacy, I don't think $3 a month is an, I think $3 a month is a good investment if that's what you're looking for. So you may want to look into a VPN as well. All right. Try to get into the habit of browsing, wiping your browsing history pretty much at least every week. I try to delete my browsing history off my phone every other day because you make it more difficult for websites to sort of identify you. And you also want to wipe your browsing history, especially on your computer, because what it does is if your computer is filled with so many cookies or so much identifying software, it actually slows down your site and it slows down your browser. This is going to help cut down on the number of ads that are placed too once you sort of clear everything out. And try to get into the habit of wiping your browsing history on all of your devices at least once a week. All right, so why you should create a junk email account. Again, I'm sure I could, if I were in a classroom right now, I could see a lot of raised hands at my next question. How many of you go into a new store and you find something, you get up to the checkout terminal and they ask you for your email? That's why. If you have a junk email account, it's much easier to separate business from personal. It's also a little bit easier to filter spam. You're going to have less spam coming into your personal account. It's also to manage the public use of your email. For those retailers that do share your information, they'll have your junk email account. They won't have your personal one. And also to organize different jobs, projects, or teams. Also, if you have your own business or you conduct your own marketing campaigns, you might want to get a separate email account for that. Also, if God forbid you get hacked, this can act as an absolute last minute backup to your main account. But these are just some really good reasons why having a secondary junk email account that you just, sort of give to sign up for accounts. This junk email account, you would check it maybe once a week, every other week. So you can keep your attention to your personal personal one. I have had a junk email account, and boy, for the past 4 years, it has helped so much to just mentally compartmentalize. But I highly recommend trying a junk email account as well. I want to talk about a little bit of a site. Let's see, I can't really, you'll be able to see it on the PowerPoint presentation when I send it to you, but if you ever have an old email address, or if you want to see if your existing email address has been sort of shadily shared, you put in your email address and this site will tell you where it is. It's a really, really good little feature. If you're curious, throw your email or emails through this. I found that my work email was pawned. So, but you can see where it is too. This is just a really interesting site if you're curious. All right, let's talk about the importance of a strong password. They should be sort of longer and more complex. They should contain 10 characters or so, 8, and if you want to do even less, add numbers and a symbol. And don't be afraid to feel or to write out, like have like a paper and pencil document at home that has your passwords on it. Don't be afraid to go a little bit hybrid on this. If you want to invest in password manager like Dashlane, it's a great, 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 super secure app for your phone or a mobile device. Those will keep track of what those apps do. And I think Dashlane is the best. It keeps track of your passwords and your usernames on your phone. But if you use paper and pen at home, just make sure to keep it in a private spot. Again, you do what will work best for you. And also never use the same password for 2 or more devices or 2 or more programs. Try to keep it as mixed up as you can. Some password do's, change when it comes to important items like social media, anything involving money. Try to get into the habit of changing your password every quarter. Try using a mix of upper and lowercase characters. Use punctuation marks and symbols. Try themes. What I like to do is I have password themes per device. So forgive me here, but everything that has to do with my Mac at home, it involves British curse words. Everything on my phone involves Monty Python, and everything on my tablet involves Bugs Bunny. Again, just ideas. But if you have a theme per device, it actually makes it a little bit more fun to changing your password frequently. Again, you can try to use a password manager like Dashlane as well. Or also try small sayings like dirty dishes with the I in dirty, like being a 1. Try small sayings. Those are really good tips for passwords as well.
I've got a couple questions for you, Sarah, if you want to take a couple.
Go.
Yeah, so the first one, when you're setting up privacy settings on a site, is it going to be significantly different on a computer versus a phone or an iPad?
It should be the same.
Awesome.
Should be the same. Mm-hmm.
And then I have another person who their junk email gets filtered to their other account under promotions. Should they not connect their email accounts?
If they've got a Gmail one, there's automatically going to be a promotions filter. But if you used that junk email, it's probably going to come into your inbox and promotions. That's why I recommend having a separate junk mail. So your personal business is coming into your personal account, and those promotions are pretty much all going to just one account, and they're not breeding. Does that help?
I believe so. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Again, you guys, I'm going to give you my my email address at the end of this presentation, and it'll be at the end of the PowerPoint. If you've got any other questions that pop up that you would like to see addressed, or if you want to give some feedback anytime within the next couple of weeks, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Also, if you see something that's missing, or if you want to give some feedback, or if you would like me to do a little bit more digging, I am more than happy to do that. All right. So, a good don't is using a part of your name. My old Gmail got hacked because I used my full name with my middle initial, and I should probably not have done that. So try not using a part of your name, but if you do have your name as your Gmail account or as your email address, I don't want you to panic on this. It's just a good, not using a part or using only a part of your name or not your full name. We're only really discovering this within the past year or so, just because names are make it a little bit easier to hack. But really, there's no need to panic. There's no need to panic if you have your name as a part of your email address. It's just now it's starting to recommend that people not use their full name. Also, don't have a favorite password for everything. Um, do your best to mix that up. Obviously, don't share your password. Try to never use a blank space. You can use an underscore, but never use a blank space because that blank space from an encryption point of view, it's a door in. So never use a blank space. Also, try to not use alphabetical or number sequences. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, A, B, C, D, F, or even a combination of those two, because those are the most logical ways to move forward in terms of decryption or figuring that out. All right, here is an excellent to-do list that the Washington Post has put together. If you'll see the headline, it says hands off my data, 15 default privacy settings you can change right now. Guys, the Post normally charges for their articles, but I believe this is still a full-time free article for everybody. So if you want to Google this article, this was an excellent, excellent, just 15-step list to get you started, just to get you started on ensuring your privacy settings are where they want. This was just an excellent article. The second one I want to show you through Consumer Reports is also excellent. Now, this is a little bit more overwhelming. Again, you could break out this list, you know, doing one activity a day per week, every other day. Again, you handle your privacy systems the way you want to. But this is another 66 ways to protect your privacy as well. These are great, great, great roadmaps that will help you out as like this class has. It's going to get into a little bit more detail, and it's a little bit more activity oriented where I'm just really talking and shoving a lot of information at you. These lists are actually going to walk you through the process. These are just two great, great, fantastic resources that I found in terms of playing around with your privacy settings. All right, yay, we made it. 45 minutes. I can't believe I did that. Great. Thanks for staying with me this long. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, anything, don't hesitate to get a hold of me. Also, if you think of something in the shower, you know, 3 days from now, don't hesitate to contact me. I'm always interested in feedback from you guys. Can anyone think of any other overall questions that you would like to ask at this point?
I've got one here for you.
Okay.
Sarah from one of our participants. They wanted to know if that Consumer Reports article is one that you have to access through the paid account or if it's available widely.
Available widely.
Yay, awesome.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. I know I threw a lot of stuff at you. Some of it's a little intense. I mean, you're in really, really good company. All of you that attend tonight, you're in really, really good company in terms of, hey, I can exist and not be some sort of money stream to retailers or big business. Yep, but this is totally within your control.
Well, I've got another question here for you, Sarah. How do you clear your browsing history on your phone?
It depends on on Chrome. What you would do is go to the three, like if you're on your phone, it depends on, I'm looking at my iPhone right now, and the way to do it is you're going to look for those three dots as well. On your phone, it's going to be on your bottom, on an iPhone, it's going to be on the bottom right hand corner. If you hit those three dots, you're going to see your history. You can tap on your history and clear all of your browsing data from there. From an Android, I believe it's the three dots in Chrome at the top of your phone. And you may have to go to advanced settings from there. But if it's the Apple, it's the three dots on the bottom. And if it's an Android, it's the three dots on the top. You have to be in a browsing window in Chrome though. You should always usually see some sort of dotted menu. And Safari, I'm just going to take a quick look. Safari, I'm not finding right off the top of my head. Let's see. I think with Safari, you're going to have to go into the settings and then go into your apps, the apps manager, and then Safari from there. Yep. Allow Safari to access. You're going to find a whole mess of items from there. You're going to see about Safari search and privacy, and that's where you want to go.
And I'm looking at my Android phone here. I actually have Firefox on my phone, and it's got the three dots on the bottom right-hand corner. And under settings, you're able to clear your browser data, and you can even have it set to just clear the browsing data when you quit the window. So that's kind of handy too.
All right, it looks like we've got some raised hands. Janet?
I'm wondering if those were raised hands from earlier. People
Oh,
didn't raise their
okay.
hands to respond to your question. I do have another question. Will this recording be available for replay after tonight?
Yes, Kendra and I are recording to the cloud right now. And what we're going to do is speak to our communications department, and we'll try to get this on our YouTube channel as soon as we can.
Great. And Janet, did you have a question for us?
I did. So what?
Make sure they're hearing.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay. So what do you do if you've been spammed? If someone has infiltrated your email and you found out about it afterwards?
I would actually create a new email.
Okay.
Do you know who it was or?
No. And when it's a primary email, how do you change that with everyone that you deal with?
It's a right royal pain, Janet, but it's going to be worth it. What I would do if you do decide to, well, you know what? Let me give you another set of options first. If you have been spammed, or if you feel like your email has been compromised, you might want to go into your email's privacy settings and add a few more and see if you can turn on other features. If after you've turned on those other features, you feel like the information is still compromised, I would get another email.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Well, thank you everybody for coming tonight. We look forward to seeing you at more classes in the future, and I hope you walked away with some valuable information and some things that you can actually do tonight. Thank you again for attending, and everyone stay warm tomorrow. Good night.